So I finally got my latest handheld, and I decided to test the most popular game on handhelds. I am obviously talking about Cyberpunk 2077, in this case on the GPD Win 4. And I got plenty to say about how this and other games play on this brand new device. You will notice that I actually have 2 benchmark demos, and I will tell you why in a minute. But first, let's start with the graphical settings. You'll notice that I'm playing at 1920 by 1080 or 1080p being the actual Win 4's native resolution, and with most of the settings on low or medium and FSR 2.1 in balance mode. You'll notice that this first benchmark is being played with a TDP setting of 23 watts, and the frame rate will stay anywhere between mid 30s and high 50s, but for the most part will stay above 40 frames per second, and every once in a while it will dip to mid to high 30s. I will also use the TDP setting of 23 watts on the gameplay itself, and I'll explain why in a minute. But for the most part, it'll stay anywhere between low 30s all the way to high 50s. But yes, just like the actual benchmark, you will actually see the frame rate usually stay above 40 frames per second or much higher. Every once in a while, it'll dip, and you can actually go and see the actual parade level or the parade part that I actually have there. And you'll see that we can actually go to low 30s. But that's not that common. Usually you have everything above 40 frames per second. Now, the next actual benchmark is actually going to be on 28 watts, and I could even throw it at 30 watts, but it wouldn't make much of a difference between 28 and 30 watts. It will be maybe 1 or 2 frames per second. And you'll notice that the frame rate actually will stay above 45 frames per second, and it will actually go above 60 frames per second as high, but it would actually dip all the way, very rarely, to high 30s. But those will be blips, and usually it will stay above 40 to 45 frames per second. So with the current graphical settings I mentioned, regardless if you're in 23, 28, or 30 watts, I would actually cap this one at 40 or 45 frames per second. The problem is not that, and you can actually even, like I said, get 1 to 3 more frames per second depending on the actual what's going on, if you actually throw it all the way to 30 watts, the TDP setting. But the problem is that the grips, the handles on the right hand side get hot. And they start getting uncomfortably hot when you go above those 23 watts. You can still feel them at 23 watts, but it's not uncomfortable, and you can play for a long period. I played for 2 or 3 hours with no issues at 23 watts. But when you have actually at 28 watts or 30 watts, it starts getting uncomfortable after a while because it starts getting very, very warm. So whatever the thermal side, they didn't do, in my opinion, a good job. And by the way, the actual device itself is a beauty. It's like incredibly beautiful, and it actually plays very good. And having that keyboard is not a niche thing, or it's not like just for looks. It actually is very helpful. I just wish the keys were not as hard or are tough to actually hit them, because I feel that you have to press them a little too hard. Then again, I actually hit a lot of wrong keys every once in a while, so maybe that's why they did that. But anyway, I'll let you watch the rest of the video, and I'll see you on the next one.
I smell a rat.
V, just in time.
Hey, Goro. Wow, you look like a million eddies.
Is that so? That is not how I feel. I ate what you call a scat burger.
Uh-huh. And what'd you think, tasty?
Ask the people below. The parade will soon begin. I adjusted the data from Okada-san. I advise you to examine it yourself. To begin with, the malware works. Truly, much better than I anticipated. If this sounds dangerous, consider that I must leap to the float, enter through a window and meet Hanako-sama face to face. The last is what I fear the most. Is all this clear? Are you ready?
Plan's fucked beyond all recognition. Yet here I am.
I know, and I thank you for this.
Thank me once it works. Now get in position.
Very well. Wait for my signal.
Stay safe, Goro.
I am in position. The floats have started to move. Remember to be careful or you will face Arasaka drones. I also spotted the netrunner in an Arasaka uniform. She is somewhere hidden.
Okay, good to go.
Then let us begin. You must reach all snipers before Hanako-sama's float appears.
Saburo Arasaka.
It'll be beautiful. Just a juxtaposition. Oh, shouldn't even be out here. Back inside, back inside.
You are close. He's... You pay for this. You should have do it. You pay for this. You pay for this. What is your status?
I managed to...
Oda, is he dead?
He's breathing. For now.
Please, V, show him mercy. There should be nothing standing in your way now. We press forward.
You and your fucking sick sense of honor. Today's your lucky day, though. could thank your old friend.
Look. Agent tries to cut you off.
For glory and fucking honor!
If you must, finish them one at a time. Draw no attention. This job is reconnaissance. Make no noise.
Mr. Fucker! This ain't good!
Get down. Hide away from him.
Don't let up! It's hard!
Draw no attention.
Mr. Fucker!